Hi there, my name's Steve Sutcliffe and welcome to another comparison test with Tyre Seeker. So in this test we've got 4 premium ultra high performance tyres from the manufacturers you'd expect. We're at Myra, the conditions are pretty good but they're changeable. The temperature is not just as hot as previous ultra high performance tests that we've done. So anyway, let's get going and let me tell you a bit more about the tyres themselves.
So from Bridgestone, we're testing the Potenza Sport. From Continental, we've got the SportContact 7. From Goodyear, we've got the Eagle F1 Asymmetric 6. And from Pirelli, we're testing the latest P Zero. As usual, we sourced all our tyres from an independent retailer to ensure total neutrality. Our test car is a BMW 118 and the tyre size is a 225/45, available in 17 and 18 inches for our group. The ambient temperature was typical for a UK spring and summer, ranging between 15 and 19 degrees C. That's a good 10 degrees cooler than we tested these same tyres in previously last year. So we were keen to see if that makes a difference. Right then, let's get cracking.
We've done a lot of tyre testing at Tyre Seeker in beautiful Mediterranean conditions. Well, this is very much English conditions. And in these English conditions, there are no massive surprises. The Continental is still an excellent ultra high performance tyre. The Bridgestone Potenza Sport, just brilliant. In the dry, it's just got so much feel. Lovely kind of progression under brakes. No sharp edges anywhere. A really nice tyre. So is the Goodyear. In fact, the Goodyear is the surprise to me because it's with slightly colder ambient temperatures. The Goodyear is really performing very well indeed. So maybe the Goodyear reaches its zenith in the UK conditions rather than in beautiful hot climes, which we previously tested in. The Pirelli, on the other hand, is still a lovely ultra high performance tyre in the dry, but it's not just as good either on paper, on the numbers, on the data, on the lap times basically, or subjectively when you drop the ambient temperature by probably a good 10 degrees C compared with what we've tested it in before. It goes from being absolutely brilliant and excellent to still very good, but there is a big difference between excellent and very good. The Continental, on the other hand, has gone in the other direction. The Conti it did brilliantly in our test that we did in Italy last year. In the UK, I think it works possibly even better still. It is an absolutely sensational overall tyre, the Continental SportContact 7.
On the wet handling track, the Goodyear and Continental were both superb. The Goodyear shone because it was fantastic under brakes and delivered the most grip of all in the longer, steady-state corners. It also felt more secure and just sharper, comparatively, than it did in the hotter conditions we tested it in last year. That was interesting. The Continental was just excellent everywhere in the wet though, with incredible stability under brakes, great traction, a really secure sense of grip that I could lean on hard in the longer corners, and a really nice gentle breakaway characteristic near the limit. This is a tyre that really makes a difference to not just speed but security on a wet road. The Bridgestone and Pirelli were also strong in the wet, but neither could quite match the Continental or the Goodyear, not for speed or pure feel. The P Zero was definitely next best after the top 2, but it didn't have just as much pure grip in the faster corners. It seemed to work better in the hot conditions we tested it in last year compared with these cooler ones this year. And what about the Potenza Sport? Well, it performed perfectly well in the wet, but like the Pirelli, its performance dropped away a touch in colder conditions. Result, it's not quite at the same level as the Continental or the Goodyear in the wet, in more typical UK conditions. Right then, before we do any more testing, here's a bit about our sponsors at eTyres.
So our sponsors at eTyres are basically great, and that's not just because they give us the money to make these videos and have fun at test tracks and decide which tyres are good and which tyres are not good. They're great because they sell tyres at the best prices that you will find anywhere on the internet, and they don't care, there's no bias, they don't care who wins or loses or doesn't do very well in our group tests, because they sell all the tyres in all our tests. You get the best prices that you will find for any tyres anywhere on the internet, pretty much guaranteed. So check them out, etyres.co.uk. Right, back to the tyre testing. There is one caveat though, and that's where the Goodyear comes back into its own. The ride quality of the Continental is definitely stiffer and firmer than all the other three tyres, and particularly so compared with the Goodyear. So I don't know whether you would ever buy an ultra high performance tyre purely because of the way it rides. The answer is you wouldn't, but as an overall package you need to factor that in. The Conti definitely makes whatever you put it on feel a little bit more firm, compromised if you would, from the grip it generates wet or dry, from the precision it gives whatever car you put it on, through the steering, through the brakes. It's just brilliant, the Continental SportContact 7. So is the Goodyear, and then the Bridgestone and the Pirelli are very, very good. Top test, 4 top tyres, but 2 really great tyres.
We rated each tyre out of 100 for braking in the wet and dry, and of course we timed them around the wet and dry handling tracks too. The results were pretty clear cut. The Goodyear was quickest outright in the wet, with the Conti very close behind, although the Continental scored best of all in both the braking tests, which is arguably more important than outright speed. The Pirelli was great in the dry tests, good in the wet ones, whilst the Bridgestone performed well enough across the board, but not as well as the other 3 across all 4 tests. The Goodyear's improvement in colder conditions is an intriguing factor in this test, as is the relative deterioration of the Bridgestone and to a lesser extent the Pirelli. The P Zero was our winner last year and continues to deliver consistently high performance in all conditions. It remains a brilliant UHP tyre, but it's no longer our outright favourite, because that award belongs this year to the Continental, which, despite a firm ride, delivers a breadth of dynamic ability that is, well, pretty amazing. It makes whatever car you fit it to simply feel sharper, grippier, and that much more engaging to drive. It wins, with the Goodyear a surprisingly close second in UK conditions, the Pirelli and Bridgestone still getting a strong recommendation from us at Tyre Seeker.
Cheers for watching. Remember to subscribe if you like this video, and see you next time.